You ever walk into your own house and realize, in about 2 seconds flat, that you don't belong there anymore? That's how it hit me the moment I pushed open that heavy front door and caught the faintest whiff of someone else's perfume swirling through the air, a scent that had never, in 15 years, belonged to me. I stood there, suitcase in hand, shoes pressing into marble that used to echo with laughter and shared secrets, staring at a row of high-heeled strangers lined up where my favorite boots once sat. And on the wall, not a single photo of me left. The man I'd built a life with, the one who used to claim no picture was complete without my smile in it, had gone and replaced me in every frame. You know what's wild? I came home early, thinking I'd surprise Robert for our anniversary 15 years, which is supposed to mean something, right? But the only surprise was on me. There he was poolside in our backyard, drinking champagne out of my wedding crystal with a woman barely older than our housekeeper's daughter. She wore my silk robe, the one he brought me from Paris on our 10th, and lounged in my chair, laughing at some joke I couldn't hear. I watched them through the window, every muscle in my body tense like I was bracing for a punch that had already landed. It wasn't just that he'd moved on. No, Robert had done what rich men in movies do. He'd erased me. Took my face off the walls, changed the locks on my life, and made sure the only thing left with my name on it was the garden I'd planted with my bare hands. I heard them before they saw me, talking about redecorating, her voice all high and bright. "This house needs a younger touch," she said, running her hands over furniture I picked out in a home I helped pay for. And Robert laughed. "Easy as breathing. That's all in the past now." I could have screamed. Instead, I walked right outside, shoulders back, head high. The look on Robert's face when he saw me, pale, tight-lipped, told me everything I needed to know. "You're supposed to be in Tokyo," he stammered, as if that explained why he was living out some midlife cliché in my house, with my robe on his new girlfriend's back. "Clearly," I answered, and if my voice shook, nobody but me heard it. "I came home for our anniversary. 15 years, Robert. Guess you're celebrating differently now." The girl, Jessica, introduced herself, extending her hand like we were at a cocktail party, not standing in the wreckage of my life. I ignored her. Robert tried to hustle me inside, but I was done being quiet. "You move your girlfriend into our home before the ink dries on the divorce. The home we built together." My eyes stung, but my voice held. "You agreed to everything," he shot back, face hardening, and right then, I saw the man he'd become, the stranger I'd slept beside for months. Jessica smirked, corrected him. "Ex-wife, actually." That stung, but not as much as hearing Robert say it had all been finalized last week, when just days ago, he told me the lawyers were still negotiating. Turns out, I'd signed papers and he'd changed them after. He thought I wouldn't notice. Maybe he thought I was still the woman who believed every promise he ever made. He didn't know I'd been planning, working quietly even while he thought he was breaking me. I pulled up the email his assistant, poor thing, had sent me, the original and the fake versions by mistake. $50 million in this house vanished with a keystroke. Robert's panic didn't last. He tried to gaslight me, but I was ready. "Enjoy the house while you can, both of you." I left them standing there, watching the last piece of control slip from his hands, and I didn't look back. That night, I checked into the Four Seasons, the same hotel where Robert and I met in college, when we were both broke and dreaming big. I thought about those early days, when I'd worked 2 jobs while he wrote code, failing over and over until finally, he built Empire Tech, and our lives changed forever. I handled the business, he did the tech, and I believed, for years, we were partners. But power changes people. Money warps even the best of us. And as Robert rose, I faded in his eyes anyway. No more. I called Elijah, my old college friend, now a financial investigator, and told him to follow the money. Called Diana, my loyal assistant, who Robert fired for being too close to me. I asked for his schedules, his emails, every scrap she'd saved. Marcus, my godbrother, a real estate developer, ran property records. I wanted every permit, every hidden transaction. I'd spent 6 months away, but I hadn't been idle. The twist came fast. Diana found emails Robert plotting to push me out of the company and the marriage long before he asked for a divorce. Elijah uncovered offshore accounts. Millions hidden just out of reach. Time with my business trip, so I couldn't fight back. Marcus confirmed the house was a ticking time bomb, foundation issues, undisclosed, and Robert tried to transfer it to Jessica's brother to dodge liability. Piece by piece, I built my case. By midnight, my plan was set. The best revenge wouldn't be screaming or fighting, it'd be letting Robert think he'd won, while I quietly took back everything he tried to steal. The next morning, after breakfast in bed, a small act of rebellion Robert would have hated, I called Patricia Morgan, the sharpest divorce lawyer in the city. By noon, she'd filed for an emergency freeze on all his assets. By 1, I had proof of fraud, structural lies, hidden millions. By 2, I walked into Empire Tech for the first time in 6 months. You should have seen Robert's face when I showed up at that emergency board meeting. Try to shut me down? You're not part of leadership anymore. I reminded him I owned 20%, shares he couldn't touch, because they were gifted by investors who valued me more than he ever had. The board, stunned, let me stay. When he tried to present the big tech fusion acquisition, his legacy, move, I slid a flash drive down the table. Financial fraud, discrimination lawsuits, hidden accounts, pick your poison, Robert. He lost it, claimed I was bitter, making things up. But Patricia had already served the asset freeze. The board suspended him on the spot. And when we were alone, his mask dropped. You've destroyed everything we built. I told him the truth. You destroyed it when you forgot what we built was ours, not yours alone. He threatened me, promised it wasn't over. But for the first time, I wasn't scared. 3 days later, the board offered me his job. I surprised them and myself by turning it down. I didn't want to build on a foundation he'd poisoned. I wanted to build something new. With my shares and a new division, Empire Forward, I would bring tech access to communities like the one I grew up in, while Victoria, one of the few people I still trusted, took the CEO seat. The divorce judge ruled for me, overturning the settlement on the grounds of fraud. I got half of everything the company shares, the hidden assets, the house condemned now. But that was poetic. Jessica showed up, flash drive in hand, scared and apologetic. He's not who I thought he was, she said, telling me about more women, more betrayals, more lies. Part of me pitied her. Part of me wanted to hate her. But in the end, we were both victims of Robert's ambition. I watched as the inspectors condemned the house. Robert tried to fight, but the law was on my side this time. I told him, you made sure I had nothing, but I know how to rebuild. You've never lost everything. Good luck. And I meant it. Walking away, I felt lighter than I had in years. Months passed. Empire Forward grew. The house came down, replaced by a community tech center, my real legacy, a place for kids who look like me to see what's possible. Robert faded from my life, trying to claw back his old glory in California. But the industry had moved on. I found myself again in late nights planning programs, in lunches with Victoria, in the quiet satisfaction of doing work that mattered. Life gave me one more twist. Dr. James Carter, MIT professor, showed up at our launch, interested in partnering with the foundation. We talked, at first about business, then about life. Dinner turned into long phone calls, which turned into weekends together, splitting time between cities, building something gentle and new. He never tried to compete with my ambition or make me smaller. He just saw me, all of me, and that was enough. Robert came back once, years later, with a warning about an acquisition and a real apology for the first time. I hope you find what you're looking for, Zora, he said, and I realized I already had. Not revenge, not victory freedom. The best revenge, isn't about destruction. It's about creating something so good, so true, that the past can't touch you anymore. So that's my story. I lost everything: my marriage, my home, the future I thought was mine. But what I found in the ashes was myself. Powerful, whole, ready to build something no one could ever erase again. You want to talk about justice, about right and wrong? Maybe you think Robert got off easy, or maybe you think I did. Maybe you wonder if it's really possible to forgive, or if you'd have taken him for every penny, burn the house down just to watch him lose. I'm not here to settle the debate. I'm just here to say, sometimes the strongest thing you can do is let go of what broke you and build a new life, one you choose every single day. So, tell me, if you were in my shoes, what would you have done? Where does justice end and mercy begin? Share your thoughts. I want to hear what you think, because stories like mine aren't just about people like me. They're about every one of us who's ever had to fight for our worth and come out the other side still standing.